This is Dick Jones, a senior consultant with the Successful Practices Network, and this is a brief introduction to one of the key elements of instruction that is part of the Career Readiness Institute. We've attempted to focus on instructional practices that will enhance college and career readiness, with particular emphasis on career readiness, and have identified some characteristics that we think will be important to teachers. The work of Successful Practices Network in career readiness is a multifaceted effort. It allows us to begin to talk about how we can create multiple pathways for students to achieve career readiness. It involves instructional aspects that integrate career and technical education and academics. It certainly requires enhanced leadership practices to support the work of improving career readiness, and applying new data measures will be absolutely critical. The final element is about reflecting on instruction. High quality instruction needs to include some elements that prepare students for career readiness as well as college readiness. This introduction about the Better Learning Model takes us in that direction. When we talk about career readiness, it's not preparing students for our past and the kinds of skills that may be important for jobs that we have held as part of our careers. But we must recognize that the future is very different for our students and requires a different range of skills and expertise that are going to provide them positive career opportunities in their future. In our discussion about improving schools, too much of the focus about college and career readiness has been about the anxiety of approving and implementing standards and establishing and developing assessments of that curriculum. Not enough focus has been about instruction, and I'd encourage us to think about instruction and the effective aspects of what goes on in the exchange between a teacher and student that leads to high quality learning. We've attempted many initiatives over the last 2 decades to try and influence that aspect of instruction. In some cases, we've made structural changes like small learning communities and having teachers collaborate and share practices. In large school districts, we've often established pacing guides with an hope that all students would be on the same position moving through a textbook or a series of instructional experiences to try and provide some quality of instruction. We've used technology in many different forms with an effort to enhance student interest and engagement in learning. Many models such as project-based learning have added some excitement to instruction in having students move toward a tangible, observable performance in some product that will demonstrate their learning. More recently, we've been engaged in teacher evaluation and trying to emphasize high-quality instruction by identifying exemplary teaching practices. And the efforts about Common Core state standards imply some different elements of instruction. All of these initiatives have had some focus and impact on improving instruction, but I don't think is sufficient for what we're talking about in the future. As I think about my perspectives on instruction and what's influenced my thinking a great deal, goes back a decade as we talk about the 21st century skills and the most important things that are for students to learn as we talk about the complex future that they're going to face. We include aspects of using information technology, communication skills, critical thinking skills, the ability to collaborate and work with others, that they have a focus of developing life and career skills that will enable them to be successful, and we want to emphasize creativity. A great list of what's important. Another book that influenced me a great deal was Dan Pink's book, A Whole New Mind. It began my thinking differently about curriculum and what's between the courses that we offer and the kinds of skills that will make a difference in this challenging future. Pink offers 6 elements. Students need to learn about making meaning, telling stories, learn through play, see the bigger picture in symphony, have empathy for others, and to apply some creative design. Another popular author that's gathered a lot of traction in education has been Sir Ken Robinson. His most recent book, Out of Our Minds, emphasizes the importance of including creativity within our curriculum. Another popular education thought leader, Howard Gardner, famous for his work on multiple intelligences, in his most recent book, 5 Minds for the Future, talks about students that will be successful that can focus on a synthesizing mind, a disciplined mind, an ethical mind, a respectful mind, and a creating mind. As we begin to think about how we get students engaged in instruction, not just offering high quality instruction, but draw them in, that they become the hard, passionate workers. Dan Pink's book, Drive, that talks about the research that tells us about motivation, emphasizes abandoning the carrot and stick approach. But if we want to motivate students or any person within an organization, we need to focus on purpose, autonomy, and mastery. Dan Goleman has started the trend of helping us focus more on emotional intelligence and social intelligence. And it's students acquiring these characteristics that lead them in a pathway of success. It's about self-regulation, internal motivation, self-awareness, empathy, social skills. Finally, another popular author, Carol Dweck, introduced the term mindset in developing particularly a growth mindset and getting students to understand it's not a fixed quantity of knowledge that we're acquiring, but our success comes from our ability to persevere and to recognize that we have unlimited growth potential. All of these perspectives give us a lot of information about what's important to include within that instruction, in addition to teaching to standards. How can we organize this in a convenient way that teachers can find useful in trying to bring this into their daily instruction? That led us to create the Better Learning Model. Thinking about all of these characteristics from 21st century skills and the most popular authors that capture our passion and imagination as to what a well-educated student is about can be organized into 6 categories. It's about making sure that our instruction builds connections with relevance, that students see the purpose of what they're learning, that we engage students as independent learners. We find ways to engage their interest, and we increasingly provide them independence to control their learning. We need to focus on mastery, and that we need to test and grade for proficiency in the way that we work with students. We need to target personal skills and work habits and weave that into our curriculum and give students feedback. We need to empower students with hope and confidence, changing their perspective of the community and how they want to begin to contribute to that community right now, not sometime in the future. And then finally, we want to reward creativity and innovation and bring that aspect of creativity into our curriculum. These 6 areas conveniently begin with the acronym BETTER, B-E-T-T-E-R. This defines the Better Learning Model. Build, engage, test, target, empower, and reward. Some of you that have been following our work of the Successful Practices Network will know that we initially introduced what we called the career model, with the phrases connect, assess, reward, engage, empower, and rate. We found that there was greater understanding of this model, that it applied to all of college and career readiness, and we abandoned the term career and evolved this into the better model, with still the same 6 elements that define high quality instruction. So the Better Learning Model is a framework for our work in the Career Readiness Institute in helping teachers begin to reflect on instruction. This chart shows an interesting comparison of traditional instruction and teaching for college and career readiness using the Better Model. In place of building lessons around learning large chunks of content knowledge with no context, we need to build connections with relevance. Instead of overlaying curriculum pacing guide with expectations that all students learn the same speed and do the same work, we need to engage students as independent learners and recognize their unique learning needs. Instead of rewarding students for good behavior on a test of recall of facts, we need to test and grade for proficiency. We need to move from isolating learning from developing interpersonal skills and collaboration to where we target personal skills and work habits. Instead of narrowing students' thinking as passive accumulators of knowledge, we want to empower students with hope and confidence. And finally, instead of guiding students to a single right answer, we need to reward students with creativity and innovation in their student work. This column on the left defines boring instruction, the most common adjectives used by students in school today, to a better learning model for teaching for college and career readiness. This model is a model that prepares students for their future, not our past. It addresses both college and career readiness. It's a way towards teaching to a quadrant D of the rigor relevance framework. It reflects what we know about brain research and learning, and it can apply universally across all subjects, all grade levels, for teachers to have a conversation about how they can weave these characteristics into their instruction. Finally, it can be data-driven and a way for teachers to think quantitatively about their instruction. When we use the term data-driven instruction, too often this means analyzing test scores. This may tell you who's not learning and what they're not learning, but it doesn't help you know how to help them learn. Now you get a grade as a school or as a teacher, and this becomes a scarlet letter, but it isn't data that will help you improve. Data-driven instruction needs to be ongoing, timely, actionable, and directly relate to a teacher and private. We've developed some teacher reflective surveys that are self-ratings of instruction that teachers can use effectively to drive their own instruction. We've built these surveys around the model and the 6 elements that are there. The teachers can rate their own classroom instruction and have a self-report as to their individual characteristics. It's not an evaluation. It's meant as a self-help reflection tool for teachers to learn and improve. Each survey then provides a personalized set of suggestions based on their individual survey self-reported results. You can access this survey through the Career Readiness Institute at the website indicated here, and this will direct you to each of the 6 surveys. You can take one or more of those to get your feedback. As you begin to reflect on instruction, it's really powerful to begin to engage in conversations about the results of that survey and the recommendations. This is where the real learning can take place, and hopefully teachers will collaborate with peers and hold discussions around the elements of the better learning model. There is also provided a set of resources that can help you in your own personal development of items to read, videos to view, to expand your knowledge about the actions related to these 6 elements. You'll be hearing more about the Better Learning Model in the work of the Career Readiness Institute. We hope this introduction will whet your appetite to explore it further in the aspect of teacher reflection and focusing on those characteristics that will teach the 21st century skills, helping to make students college and career ready.